Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Freddie and you are watching Bookish avec moi. So, what is going on this week? I finished one book and I am currently reading a few books. So I'm really eager to talk about the book that I finished because I loved it very much. So I finished Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. This is actually my first book by Toni Morrison, and this was actually a buddy read with Jasmine of Wonder Jazz. She's a booktuber and also a bookstagrammer. And funny thing about this book, I actually saw Jasmine buying this book when she shared her book haul on her Instagram story, and it was interesting because she got this book at 5 ringgit, and there were also plenty of other books sold at 5 ringgit per book, and I got really curious, and so I reached out to her and I asked her where she got it, and she gave me the store where she ordered the book. Then I went to the store and I got myself my own copy of The Bluest Eye, and it was crazy, because 5 ringgit per book is super cheap. I got 2 other books aside from this, so I got in total 3 books. But anyway, it was really awesome. It's always great to get books at such a low price. But anyway, we read this novel at a period of about 1 week. Jasmine actually finished this much earlier than I did. I finished it on Sunday. And I must say, this book is super intense. This is not the book that you would want to read if you want to feel cozy and comfortable, if you're expecting something that is light and fuzzy and warm. This is not the book to read because there are so many horrible stuff happening in this book. You have characters who behave despicably. You have characters who are essentially at best they are quite gray in character, and at worst they are just like really, they did like really awful stuff. So The Bluest Eye is about this main character named Pacola. She is a young girl. She's a young black girl, and one of her defining characteristics is that she has this really intense self-loathing, and that self-loathing actually does not originate from a vacuum. She lives in a community, black community in 1920s in the America, and that is actually something that is kind of pervasive in her community. Essentially, there's this sense that even among the adults, that they consider themselves, or at least have some sort of inferiority complex, and it really affects Pacola as a child, especially considering that her family is not the most wholesome family. Her father is kind of abusive and is a drunkard, and her mom is quite caring, but she's also quite strict. But in any case, Pacola has this really strong sense of self-loathing that she really wished to have blue eyes like the white kids. And that is something that she really wants. She's really innocent because she's a child, and so she does not really understand how the world works, and it makes it really uncomfortable to read this book because you kind of have this sense of like you don't know, you feel kind of helpless at the same time, even though you know that the character is in this such a horrible state that you just can't see how it will turn out. And so this book is pretty tragic, and many times while reading this book, I just felt so so uncomfortable that I was wondering, how was I supposed to say enjoy this book? But I think the way that you enjoy this book is actually to just immerse yourself in all of those discomfort and to actually feel the characters, especially feel the side of the main character Pacola, and also to feel the supporting characters, her friends, her family members, and how they live their lives as black people in the 1920s. It is just so, I would say, kind of heartbreaking, and this is a really sad book. But I think that Toni Morrison wrote this book in such a way that is really effective, because you really felt that sense of struggle, that sense of anger. And therefore I gave this book 5 stars, because I just really love the characterizations of the people, of the characters in this book. It's just really, really effective. So that's the only book that I finished this week, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I am currently reading a few other books. First one, I am reading Ellie Smith's Autumn, and this one was actually something that I'm reading as part of a group read hosted by Sarah of Hardcover Hearts, and this is my second Ellie Smith. The first one was How to Be Both, and I think I'm enjoying this book right now also. From what I'm seeing so far, is about these 2 main characters. One is named Elizabeth, who is a younger woman. She is in her 30s. And also another character, Daniel. He is already like 100 plus years old. And these 2 individuals are friends, and I find that really fascinating. And the story is actually set in the UK around the time post-Brexit. And so this book is going to explore the impact of that as well. And at the same time, I think it's going to also explore the connection, the friendship, the relationship between these 2 characters. And I just really like this book so far, because I find that with Ellie Smith, this is how I expect her writing is going to be. She puts like tons and tons of references, and probably you would consider them as Easter eggs in her writing, because it feels like there are so many tidbits that you could kind of discover, and then you could astound yourself when you discover those things. And all of those different kinds of things, almost seemingly disparate things, they can be connected. Like literally everything in her book is connected, and I just thought that that's really, really interesting. It's really fun. It's always really fun to read a book, and then of course you don't really get everything, but then after thinking about it or hearing somebody else talking about it, which is something that you would have, since this one is something I'm reading for a group read, you hear someone talking about something in this book, and then you realize, yeah, that person is right. Now I see it. And it's like, it's always, you constantly have this moment of discovery or revelation, or something new to find out. So it's really, really exciting with Ellie Smith's work. So I'm really enjoying this one so far. I'm looking forward to read more of this book. In fact, I'm looking forward to read more in this seasonal quartet series. Apart from that, I am also reading the books that I'm using for my double shot project involving Barbara Kingsolver's novels. The first one that I'm reading, which is something that I read first, was I don't know what happens to me. The Poisonwood Bible. So this one is a kind of a domestic fiction slash historical fiction, but mostly focusing on domestic fiction because it involves a family. So we have this Price family who originally they come from Georgia in the U.S. and it's the 60s, I think. And they moved to Belgian Congo because the father, Nathan Price, is a missionary, and so he intends to go to Belgian Congo to kind of lead the church there. And it's really, really interesting because this book really explores the contrast between the way that the Price family lived and how the people that where they're currently settled in Belgian Congo, that place is named Kilanga. It really explores how different their lives are. You know, how displaced it seems that these people in the family, when they are in Kilanga as a family of white people. I just find it really interesting that this book is actually narrated by a few characters. It is narrated mostly by the 4 children of the Price family, but also there are sections narrated by the mom of the Price family. And we get to see so many different kinds of voices, even though they are all, like, the children are all girls, all daughters. They all have like really different personalities, and even without the chapter headings telling us the name of the narrator of that chapter, you kind of able to sense who is narrating that particular chapter, because I think that the way the voices are written in this novel is just so well done, so distinct, and that is one of the things I appreciate very much in this novel. Now, I've only read the first chapter of this book. The first chapter is about 80 pages long, and I am liking it very, very much so far. I love what I have read, so I am really looking forward to read more of this one. And then the second Barbara Kingsolver book that I'm reading is Prodigal Summer. So this book, I have not gotten very far into this book. I've only read until about 20 pages, not even the complete one chapter. I think this book is quite different from the Poisonwood Bible, in that the Poisonwood Bible has this really kind of snarky or even kind of harsh also undertone to it, and you could kind of sense there's some sort of witticism in there. The voices are just really strong. I mean, you have palindromes, like plenty of palindromes, especially when it comes to one particular character in the Poisonwood Bible. For Prodigal Summer, now this might not be fair because I've not gotten very far in this book, but I don't really sense all those in, you know, the things that I found in in the Poisonwood Bible. I didn't find them in Prodigal Summer. This one felt a little bit vanilla in comparison. I think Prodigal Summer is going to be about mainly the vignettes, kind of like vignette-ish stories, involving 3 sets of characters and their relationships. I think that is as specific as I can get because I don't really know what it's going to be about precisely. But so far from what I'm reading, it's I'm reading about this woman who is a I think she's kind of a biologist. She's tracking coyotes in the woods, and she meets with this hunter guy, and they have this conversation, and all of those 20 page long, it's just their conversation. And I thought that it sounds a little bit like a Hallmark movie, which is weird. It's not as cheesy as a Hallmark movie because there are also some bits of biology related jargon in there, hunting related words, kind of technical in a way, but then it's just them talking to each other. It doesn't feel super interesting at the get-go compared to the Poisonwood Bible. And so, in comparison, I think I'm more excited about this than this. But who knows if this is going to change after a few pages. So, let's see how it goes. And last but not least, another book that I actually picked up without much planning is actually Kurt Vonnegut. This one is called Slapstick or Lonesome No More. I didn't plan to read this book, however, I was actually feeling super anxious one evening. It was a Saturday evening, and that feeling just came. And I wasn't really sure what to do because when I felt anxious, I find it really difficult to read. But then I saw this book on top of my book stack, and I just thought that, maybe I could just pick it up and see how it is. And so I picked it up. I looked through the first few pages and I just felt that the voice in this book just felt kind of soothing. Now I've not read so much into this book, so I don't really know what it's going to be about. So far from what I'm reading, it's just about this narrator talking about himself and his brother and their relationships. But I really like the voice of the narrator in this book, and it kind of soothed me and it alleviated a little bit of my anxiety, and I felt that it really helped. Usually I had to settle my anxiety issues first and only then I read. But in this case, this book helped. So it's like, kind of a new experience for me. Now another thing about Kurt Vonnegut is that his book reminds me of Christmas, because I remember the first time I read Kurt Vonnegut, and the only time so far aside from this was Slaughterhouse-Five, and I read it around Christmas, and I was spending my Christmas at my hometown. And so I think Slaughterhouse-Five, as much as that book is kind of violent and sexual and all of those crazy things happening in that book will always feel cozy to me, and by extension, I suppose works by Kurt Vonnegut is always going to feel cozy to me. And since it is December right now, I felt, why not? Maybe I can try reading Kurt Vonnegut. Well, another author that I read during Christmas, and actually would remind me of Christmas, is actually Donna Tartt, because I read The Goldfinch last Christmas, and now The Goldfinch reminds me of Christmas, and it had that kind of same vibe, the cozy vibe. And so I don't know, I'm still reading a few books right now, so I'm not sure if I can fit in one more book in that reading plan. But I guess there is a possibility that I'm going to also read Donna Tartt for this Christmas. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I'll delay that. Maybe I will pick it up. That book is The Little Friend. I actually put it like at the bottom of my book stack. So if I want to get that book, it would take some effort. But then let's see how it goes. If I feel like wanting to read that book, then perhaps The Little Friend is going to be one of my December reads. So that's it for Bookish avec moi, and I hope you enjoy this video. These are the books that I'm currently enjoying, and I guess I'll see you in a different video. So until then, take care. Thank you for watching. What else? Oh, bye!